Alrighty, Cody.
Brandon, what's going on, man?
So this is another episode without Father Andrew, and I will tell
Hi,
you,
Father Andrew.
hi, Father Andrew. Father Andrew is definitely very knowledgeable about the subject, but I'm sure for our sake, we're gonna have a lot more fun talking about it. So today we're talking about marriage,
Mm.
and both of us are. You've been married for
Almost 2.5 years to the date. It was August of 2023.
three. Okay,
Yeah, I forget what year we're in here.
I
Yeah,
know.
August of
It's the same
2023.
thing for me. It's
Yeah,
for Hope and I, my wife. It's been December of 2023. So
nice,
just yeah, I
nice.
still have a couple things to learn from you yet.
That's a fun wedding month though. As my birthday
It
month,
is.
but a winter wedding is
Yeah.
like that's a cool month.
Yeah, it was definitely it was snowing.
Was it really?
It was, but we still had such a great turnout and it
Nice.
didn't really affect travelers at all. But it was like a very beautiful, like heavy, but gosh, somewhat light of a snow. I don't know how to like accurately describe that. But definitely so happy to be here with you to
Yeah.
hear about your own experiences with marriage and be able to talk a little bit more about what marriage is because it's just a beautiful sacrament.
hmm Well,
Um,
that's where I was just gonna say is like I feel like the thing that I love, one of the things that I love about being Catholic is the sacraments, and I love that marriage is a sacrament. And like going back to St. Mary's, that's where we got married. And thinking about that day, I mean, first of all, like it's an amazing day. It's one of the best days of my life outside of maybe the birth of our daughter. It's like
mm.
probably, it's in the top three. And and to think about like what it means for the sacrament of marriage of like, the man should leave his, his father and mother to like to join with his wife to like to become one.
Mm.
Like that idea of like becoming one flesh, I think is like first of all, it's super cool.
Mm.
And to think about like two people coming together like that. I mean, Rachel and I, my wife, like I don't know, like we just don't take that lightly and
Mm.
like what that literally means. Um, and I've heard, the ways of the world, you hear all these like sayings, and it's like I've had some friends and people I've known say literally like, oh yeah, just like nothing really changed much, when I got
Mm.
married. And it's like, I can't relate to that at all
Mhm.
because I genuinely feel like a lot changed. I
Mm.
felt the closeness, God coming into our life even more
Mm.
to I think like really guide us. And we've even had stuff happen recently that like because we're married, like if we were the situation was we have had happen recently. If we were just two people separated, maybe dating or engaged or whatever, I don't think we would have handled it the same than if we're married in those situations. So I mean, there's so many things and places I could go down of like why I think the sacrament of marriage is so special,
Mm.
but I think it truly took our relationship to a level together and with God that like it couldn't have been,
Mm.
any other way.
And I think you're really hitting on like something that's very important is that like through the sacrament of marriage itself in the Catholic Church, our love that we can have for our spouse is elevated to this some sort of supernatural love where God's grace works in us
Mhm,
through us for this mission of bringing each other to heaven.
mhm,
And it's really cool to like hear your witness of I felt this and I experienced God's grace working through this. And like somebody can be civilly married and like the church can recognize they're civilly married. Um, but there's also not just like the civil marriage part of it, but there's like the sacramental part of it, the grace that's given to you. And that's like what our sacraments are about
mhm,
is this sign of like this sign of grace that we have in all of our sacraments. They give us grace that we need.
mhm,
Um, and like yeah, without the grace, if our marriages would look a lot differently.
mhm,
And I think there's something that you said too about the oneness that you experience as well. And it's something that I think that was like a part of what I was trying to like focus in on for Lent. And somebody told me last year to like so this is funny because you're a word guy. You like word for the year.
mhm,
Somebody like told me to pick a word for Lent.
mhm.
And
I like that.
yeah, it was like just really trying to hone in on a virtue.
Mhm,
And I'm blanking right now if it was unity or if it was something else, but I really wanted to be more unified with Hope.
Mm.
I really wanted to be more unified with her and trying to be more intentional and like, yeah, sure, I failed. But just being more unified in the sense of like, I want our thoughts to not necessarily always be the same, but I want to always be on the same team.
Yeah, on almost like with what you just said, I feel like that's such a great way of putting marriage is like if you can constantly remind yourself as a man, but also like as a team, like we are on the same team,
Mm.
and I think like I love that. And one thing that comes to mind for me, like especially even to this date, 2.5 years later, is like, and especially seeing when you see your wife go through pregnancy and everything too, it's like, I just want to, like, I intentionally try to like outserve her,
Mm.
of what
Mm-hmm.
she does for me. And I feel like as a man, like I take a lot of pride in that,
Mm-hmm.
and whether it's the little things like making the bed, doing the dishes, taking care of Nora more, etc. But I think it's like, it's those types of things of like the same pageness, like outserving your spouse. Um, like, just these little things that I think, like, the I heard this put one time, by some speaker, like, "Small hinges can swing big
Mm.
doors." It's like, what are those, like, really small things that you can do that just have a big, beautiful marriage,
Mm-hmm.
like, within that? And that, like, being on the same page, I think, is a great example of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there's a good aspect to like just approaching our mindset of the day of, hey, honey, how is it that I can love you today? And the thing about love is that I think oftentimes we have this romanticized version of love, whatever you might see on TV, but like love is like a really difficult thing. And I'm gonna try to tie this in here because it's as we're recording this, it's Holy Week.
Mhm.
It's April 1st, and it's very interesting because of the sort of love that Christ shows us, in particular during Holy Week,
Mm.
during the Holy Week about 2,000 years ago when he offered his life for his church. And in a similar way, that's all this is that we are to look to the model example of Jesus giving himself up. And that is like the truest definition of love, in which I think, many times, sadly enough, our culture falls away from that nowadays. It's about what I can get.
Yeah.
It's about what I can grasp.
Yeah.
It's about plug it in for whatever it is.
Mhm.
And I think a society that's all about me, 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 it doesn't. It would make sense that marriages are falling apart. Um, and so, yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I've had to learn is like, and I definitely continue to learn every single day is like sacrificial love is difficult. Um, and like a lot of times I don't really enjoy it, but it always turns out better for the family. You ever experienced that before?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very easy even on like the small things of like this is so silly, but like I love to read.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, man, if I don't get my reading time in a day,
Mm.
it's like I get so frustrated if I have to help Rachel with something that causes me to not get in my reading time. Like you get frustrated.
Mhm.
And it's almost like you take a step back and you look at some of those things throughout your marital relationship, and it's like, man, like why, do I get so frustrated like with those things? But it's because it's things that I want to do. And that, I mean, that is a really good point too, is like, I think that, and you've probably heard this, since having a daughter as well, is like, it's like people don't want to change.
Mhm.
Like they want to have the cake and eat it too, if you will, of like,
Mm.
you're two single people, or maybe you're single and then you start dating and then you get married. Like things are going to change. Like
Mhm.
you have to she's your wife now. Like you have to treat her differently, different obligations, different responsibilities. Like your life is going to change. So if you have a view of like, okay, nothing's going to change, like that comment I made at the beginning, like, nothing changed. It's like, well, if nothing changed, man, I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. Best of luck, because like things are going to change when you get married, and that's a good thing. So I think it's almost like framing it too, and that goes back like to the out service of like it's like okay, like if in my marriage today we have to do this, this, and this, and maybe like yeah, maybe I don't want to do it as much. It's like well, how can you like reframe it in your mind as something that is just genuinely positive, because you get to do it, not you have to do it, type of mentality with that. Like this is a very random example, but it's very recent. And this isn't on the topic of marriage specifically, but I think it's a result of marriage is having kids.
Yeah.
And like, is like I've literally because everybody always says when you have kids, like, are you getting any sleep? And I have literally played this game in my head of when Nora will wake up at 1 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever. I'm like, I get to go see Nora like at this time. Like I've literally trained my brain to be like, when she's crying and I'm super tired, I don't love it. Trust me, I'm not gonna pretend. But after about 10 seconds, I'm like, okay, I get to go see my daughter right now. Like, what's bad about that? Yeah, would I love to get some sleep? Sure. But those same things in marriage of like, how can you just like reframe it to like just make it a positive thing, with the things that maybe aren't as fun. But yeah.
I mean, that's something I could learn from you from. That's really honestly just like a very beautiful witness because whenever Mariana wakes up in the middle of the night, I'm like,
Trust me, I don't love it for the first 5 seconds. I'm like, oh man, just go. I look at the go back to bed, please. But then after that, I'm like, okay, I get to go see my daughter. Like if that was in the middle of the afternoon, 12 hours later, I'd be like, yay.
That's true.
So it's like, again, it's just shifting the mindset. And I think there's so many things in marriage that like you just have to shift your mindset to because you are entering a new chapter of your life, So
I mean, there's one thing that I think about in specific. I don't know if you have your vows memorized. Like in the Catholic form, there's 2 different vows that
That's
usually you
good.
can say. But that's like one thing I would recommend is to like go to your spouse and like do not be afraid to like exchange your vows. Whether that's daily, whether that's like once a week or once a month.
I'm
Like
stealing
just
that from you.
it is so
That's
amazing.
cool.
And to remember them and to have them as a core part of who you are because you are now changed and you're entering into a lifelong commitment with your spouse. And so you're making a promise to be faithful in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, to love them and honor them all the days of their life. And as you go through those words, you will recognize each week, each day that like, yeah, maybe 90 or 75% of the times, like things just seem to be going well, whatever it is. But then there's that like that 10 to 25% when it's like, oh, it just feels very difficult. Life just feels hard, or maybe you lost a job, or maybe X, Y, and Z happened, and like things don't seem to be going your well. By saying those vows with your spouse, you can recognize that they're going to be with you and they've committed to this. And I think that's one thing that our culture does not see is that we have this commitment. And I don't know about you, but for me, for sure, is you can take a lot of comfort in knowing that for us, this sacrament means forever. No matter what happens, this person has set up a promise
100%.
and they will mean it. And I've said this promise and I will mean it as well. And so like there's definitely going to be times when we don't sacrificially love, that we're not unified, like I talked about earlier. But I think it comes back to, I promise this, and it's not about being perfect. It's about making yourself the best version of yourself to offer to your spouse. And there's like no other way that I would like to live. Actually, I want to make one more point. Conflict is like honestly, one of the biggest things I would like to talk about in marriage, because going back to like the romanticized, like our thoughts are like going everywhere right now, but the romanticized version of marriage is that it's just like this happy,
This blissful state
yeah,
at all
you're like,
times.
oh,
The
like things are just going well. Honeymoon phase all the time.
Dude, this is like, dude, this is again, I'm a big like Rich and I were just talking about this morning. So again, not on the topic of marriage directly, but it was a conversation on the way. Is like, what things do people say to themselves? Like you watching this, Like, what do you say to yourself that just actually doesn't serve you?
Mm.
And like one of the things that I've heard people say like so many times where I'm like, why are you even saying that about marriage? Is like you'll see a newly married couple and you're like, man, just wait 10 years. It's like,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
like what are you
I'm
saying about your
sorry that's
marriage?
been
Yeah,
your
I'm
experience.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry that's been your experience, but it's like it's just such a odd comment to make. Uh but to your point, there is going to be conflicts, like what they're maybe referring to, and maybe they both stop trying or this or that. And there's a lot you can unpack with that type of statement when
Yeah.
somebody's been married a decent length of time. But one of them is just like the conflicts that
Mhm.
arise throughout the years, and that's a big topic too. Did
Mhm.
you have anything like specific you want to say?
Yeah, well, so back when Hope was in college, she had a class basically on conflict management,
Mm.
and I think she would speak very highly of it. But
Hmm.
even within our dating relationship,
Yeah.
I I would say I didn't grow up knowing how to handle conflict well,
Hmm.
and like I think I would say I know the tactics, still have to like learn them and practice them,
Yeah.
but there is I think that class and alone, like what she shared with me, has changed our relationship, and like it will forever change our relationship,
Mm.
because a relationship is not a good relationship is not defined on like not having any conflict. It is actually, we just listened to this a couple of weeks ago when we were at a conference. It's how fast you can say I'm sorry, and how fast I can say I forgive you, and to have those words put into action, to put them into your heart
Yeah.
of we're gonna we're gonna have conflicts because
Yeah.
we have two different thoughts and opinions, but it's about how we're gonna handle that conflict,
Yeah.
and that's conflict is gonna be there,
Yeah.
and it's a healthy part of relationship.
Yeah. Well, I was saying this in an example to a team member the other day. Is like, when you think about like something that's good is like heat,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And like one of the ways you create heat, as I literally told him, I'm like, take your hands and just go like this.
Mm.
There's friction. My hands are sweating. Like there's heat with that.
Mm.
So friction can be a good thing
Mhm.
because it advances, it heats, it powers something. And it's
Mhm.
like within any relationship, I would argue to say if within any relationship, if you don't have healthy friction,
Mm.
it's not really advancing
Mhm.
either because you're not challenging each other. Because it doesn't even just have to be like an argument. It's like if your spouse, like it's like your kid. If you see them doing something that you're just like, man, I just like know how this is gonna go, and that's not serving them, whether they, it's omission or commission, whether they know it or don't know it, doesn't really matter. It's just not gonna serve them. I have blind spots. You have blind spots. And, our spouses, like our wives, like they have blind spots. There are things that they just can't see. And I want to like, if you have the right intentions of like, I just want to help you. And we both know and probably experience sometimes they need somebody to listen.
That's right.
And sometimes they need somebody
Remember that, man. Yeah.
to help coach. But you know, and I would say about 90% of the time they just need somebody to listen.
You don't need to fix the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to fix it. But there are times where like they like Rachel has told me like I do want accountability here, or I do want you to push me. I do want you to call me out on this stuff. And I will say the same thing about stuff. It's very healthy, and it doesn't have to be argumentative. I think a lot of people when
Mhm.
they hear hard conversations,
Mhm.
they think raised voices,
Mm.
argumentative, and that doesn't have to be the case. I think it's like the way that I think about like a hard conversation is if I truly care about the person,
Mhm.
I got to have the conversation.
And it really takes both sides too. Like I
Yeah.
notice times when like, let's just say there's conflict between Hope and I. A lot of times either I will shut down, or like
Hmm.
I don't want to engage in this sort of
I
conversation.
do that too.
But
Yeah.
it does not progress unless we're both ready to make ends meet, and
100%.
to try to figure out how we can resolve this conflict.
Yeah. I think, man, that's such a. I think about this a lot. And actually, that book I was telling you about before, the Maximize Manhood book, and I can't remember the author off the top of my head, but anyway, he was talking about like a lot of times, right? Like we are going to have tendencies as fathers the way like our fathers were.
Mm.
And let's just call a spade a spade. Like a lot of fathers are not great at showing emotion,
Mm.
teaching how to manage emotion. all of that. That's something I personally just want to encourage like my kids and show them and be vulnerable and
Mm.
that type of thing. And the relationship that Rachel and I have together with how we deal with emotions and how we talk through things and stuff. Cause I think it's just so important.
It's so
And
healthy for them to see, like,
yeah,
you working through things,
yeah.
difficult things together.
Like it's like, and like nothing is perfect. I mean, Rachel and I have actually tried to like in the last year or two, like, actually be like, her family, like, in particular, is, like, very vulnerable about things. They just kinda talk about things that maybe a lot of, like, in-laws or families, like, wouldn't necessarily talk about,
Right.
whether it's, like, money things or, like, religion and different things and being a Christian and everything, and I think it's kinda cool,
Mm.
even political things, like, it's just, like, they just talk, and there's nothing, like, within that, and I think as a married couple, like, you just have to talk, just
Mhm.
communicate. To your point, and I struggle with it too, don't bottle things up or just shut down, like, maybe shut down for a minute, but, like, gather yourself and just communicate.
Yeah.
Just talk. And a lot of especially the ladies, that's what they want.
Mm.
They don't even care if it's, like, gonna be a tough conversation or something maybe they don't wanna hear. They just wanna talk with you
Mhm.
and communicate that.
Yeah.
That's what I found.
Yeah, and if there's it's like, let's just say there's something that your spouse asks you to do. One thing I struggle with, and one thing I heard is, like, if it's not a sin, give in.
Ooh,
Eh,
I like
like,
that.
if they're not asking you to do something
Oh,
ridiculous
sure, sure, sure.
that's leading you away from the Lord,
Yeah,
just go with it.
I like that.
And it's
I
not
like
like
that.
a weird submissive thing, it's
Mm.
like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, yeah,
And let's, like, give to our spouse in this sort of way.
yeah, yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I think that, yeah, I mean, there's so many things I think that you have to tool up with as well. I
Mhm.
think that whether it's going to scripture or talking to, we've all seen it at weddings or different things of like I think Father Andrew was saying that a couple weeks ago in mass of like couples that have been married the longest. I think somebody was like close to like 70
That's
years. Like it was
amazing. That's like,
crazy.
praise the Lord for that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Like it was crazy. Actually, it was a lady that was sitting right behind us, I think took the cake in the whole church for our service, but, like, can you imagine, like, going to her and just being like and you know what would be really cool? We're talking about a lotta really awesome things.
Yeah.
You know what she would probably say? Her answers, like, I know it would be. There'd just be so much brevity
Mm.
within them, like, it'd be like just like love with all your heart or like be patient and like
Mhm.
because there's so much wisdom like within that like one sentence because she's lived it out, this woman, over decades.
Mhm.
And it's like I think that oftentimes this would be something I would encourage all of us to do is sometimes it's just going back to the basics.
Mm.
Like I was just reading this morning, I think it's Galatians 5 is the fruits of the spirit,
Mhm.
like love, like patience, peace, like gratitude. Like when was the last time that you just said to your spouse, like, thank you,
Mm.
like, thank you for doing this?
Mhm.
It's like it, dude. And the ladies, oh man, they just melt over that stuff too.
Yeah.
And we all do, but it's like, it's like, when was the last time you just told your spouse thank you for doing
Yeah.
something? I don't even know when it was for me. I had to think about it. But like that fruits of the spirit, I think are really applicable to marriage as well.
Mhm. Absolutely.
But it's cool.
And I think, well, we don't have to keep going on here, but, like, it's many times, like, uh, in a marriage, it's, like, important for, like, husbands to know that their wife probably just wants to know that they're loved.
Mhm.
And, like, many times that the husband just wants to know that the wife respects him.
Mm, mm,
And I think in turn, like, that is how we should approach our conflict in marriage. That's how we should approach marriage as a whole, is to trying to meet the needs of the other person.
mhm.
And so, you have anything else to wrap up on marriage at all?
We could talk about
I
this
know
for a
that this
long
could be
time.
like 2 hours here.
There's almost probably some. We actually maybe should look at doing like a sub bullets within this of like different things because it'd be helpful even for me because it's so nice to like talk to individuals
Mhm.
because it's always nice talking to people in life that are like going through the same things, right? Like we're so fascinated when you have kids of like, what do you do? What do you
Mm.
do? Like because you're just curious,
Yeah.
and I think. what I would encourage people to do is just go seek out scripture that talks about how to have a successful marriage.
Mhm.
I mean, like it's really that simple, and it's all there. And that's been one thing that I've done recently with the fruits of the spirit example and stuff. But that's all I got. Seek scripture if you need some help.
Amazing. Always a good recommendation wherever you're at in life. So awesome. Appreciate it, Cody.
Yeah,
Thanks for all your wisdom.
yeah. Thanks, Brandon.